What is up, Scream Team? Zach Cherry here. I just got finished seeing the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot, and I've got some things to say about it. So we're gonna do a little spoiler-free review here, followed by my franchise ranking, which will include the 4 movies and the television series. Right off the bat, my biggest takeaway with the movie, and I could probably lump this into a positive, is that it's very audacious. It takes some bold swings, which I was not expecting. I know that there's probably a lot of people who are not going to appreciate that about this movie, especially if you are very much attached to the originals. You might feel that things betray that, whether it's like in tone or story, but I can also see a lot of people, really appreciating that. So it's one of those things that it's going to be very divisive. I personally liked that they were doing these things, but my problem inherently with the movie is the development and the execution of it. In terms of Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt's participation in this, it's pretty much what I expected. So very much like the way that Scream 5 had incorporated the legacy characters into there. It is a similar situation here. And actually one of the scenes in the movie that I liked the best was the first on-screen reunion between these two characters. They've gone through some stuff in their life, and it was just interesting seeing their dynamic. I don't think that we've ever seen Ray and Julie behave in this kind of way. They've never been a final couple that I've ever really liked. Even in the previous movies, like, they were kind of boring together, and I never really, was rooting for them and wanted to see that happen. So with all of the time that has transpired, there's actually a very interesting relationship that has evolved with them. And that's pretty much where it ends. There are a lot of questions that are presented in this movie, not just of these characters, but of like every character and a lot of storylines, but they were never really elaborated on, like not even with a glimmer of subtext for the audience to subconsciously understand something. It really did seem like an unfinished film that was kind of stitched together from various clips and reshoots to try to cobble together some kind of story. But this could also be a case of the studio and just, this being a movie that was sort of put together by a committee, because it definitely has that feel like it's trying to appeal to many different audiences. I'm always of the mind that if you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. And I don't think that that's the case here. I still think that there is a lot of fun to be had, but the most important thing for me in a movie is the script. And I think that that's kind of ground zero for what you can base the success of a movie off of. If it has a really good script, all of the other pieces will kind of fall together. And if the script is not so great and you're just kind of figuring it out as you go along, that's gonna run into a lot of production issues and get you to the point where a studio is starting to change a lot of things just to get that final product out in theaters. Director Jennifer Caton Robinson is a huge fan of the franchise, and she really approached this with a lot of passion, and it shows through. But in that same regard, the movie kind of comes off as being almost fan fiction-y, and I can see where this would be the divisive factor, because a lot of people would really respond to that positively, but others are probably going to think that it is a betrayal or a little too far-fetched to be the kind of movie that the original was, or even the sequel. And in that regard, I think that the tone is kind of uneven, because there is a mix of the original and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, where the first movie was kind of more serious in tone and the second one was a lot campier. And the movie kind of vacillates between these two tones, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I think that had it focused on one singular tone and been more concise with the ideas and developed them further, the story that is being told here, I think, probably could have turned out a lot more successfully. In terms of the cast and characters, I think that the strongest, in my opinion, was Tyreek Withers playing Teddy. He just seemed like the most well-rounded, dimensionalized character of the bunch. He just seemed like a real person. The cast in general did a very good job, but a lot of the characters did feel a little underbaked. they could have, been a little bit more realized or built into the story in a more contextual way. There was several characters that I felt probably could have been plucked out and it wouldn't have changed the story at all. I know that chase scenes were also a big factor that made the first two movies very successful, and it was something that a lot of people were looking forward to. And while there is an attempt at making that come alive again, I don't think that it came through in the way to emulate what had been done before. So unfortunately, I didn't find the movie to be terribly suspenseful. In terms of the pacing, the first act is, pretty well structured, but then once we get into the middle, we get into an act two that seems to pretty much take up the rest of the movie. It's not until probably the last 15 minutes that we really do get into the third act and the climax, and it all feels very rushed. This is a problem that, I've seen in a lot of other requel type movies. Candyman is a really good example of that. But if you're looking for something more along the lines of a Scream finale where there's a big monologue and set piece, you're not really going to find it here, unfortunately. Now, to be fair, we never really got that in the first two movies either, but the difference with this movie is that it's being framed as a murder mystery. It's a whodunit, whereas 1997 and 1998, those movies, it was more like a Friday the 13th original situation where Pamela Voorhees shows up at the end. It's this person that we haven't been introduced to at all at any point in the movie. And here we have a cast of characters and suspects. So the intention is to really develop things in a way that we can get to a reveal at the end where things pay off and the motivation and the story is rationalized in a way that makes everything leading up to it feel cohesive. And that just didn't happen here. I know that I'm being very vague about this. I just don't want to spoil anything. So I will do a spoiler live stream, so you can join me there for that. But, if I had to rank everything of this franchise, including this film, I would actually go bottom. I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, the third straight-to-video movie. I mean, there's no getting around that. It's basically a nothing burger. I don't think that there's any redeeming qualities about it. Above that, I would probably say the I Know What You Did Last Summer TV show that came out a few years ago on Amazon Prime. It wasn't even really a blip on the radar. It came and went and got canceled after one season. Third place, I would go with this movie, and that is very high above the television series. This is going to be really controversial, but if you've been following me, you probably know this. Second place is the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think that the first act is amazing. Everything before and leading up to the car crash and the cover-up is great. Every time Sarah Michelle Gellar is on screen, she is just delivering the Helen Chase scene. I just don't find that the movie is very interesting beyond that. The tone takes itself a little too seriously, and it's a bit of a slow burn for me, but not in the slow burn that I like, where there's a payoff that I really appreciate. And I think that once Helen is killed off of the movie, it just really flatlines for me. But then first place is I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I just think it's a really good time. Look past all of the ridiculousness. It is a very stupid plot. It is intentionally campy, but I think the kills are really fun. The pacing really takes off once they get to the island. Everything about it is just so amusing to me, but I could understand why some people would really hate it. Anyway, other than the live stream, I do plan on doing some more content for I Know You Did Last Summer. So if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments, and also feel free to let me know what you thought about the movie. Until next time, thank you for watching. I've been Zach Cherry, and I'll be right back.